Good day. Here are the stories for the Manila Times for Monday, February 1, 2021.
After more than a year, Supreme Court Associate Justice Marvic Mario Victor Leonen has completed a draft ruling on the protest of former Senator Ferdinand Marcos Jr. contesting the victory of Maria Leonor Robredo in the 2016 vice presidential polls. The Manila Times has learned from a highly reliable source in the High Court that Leonen has submitted a 97-page draft resolution with an accompanying 2-page memorandum to Chief Justice Diosdado Peralta. The Supreme Court, sitting as the Presidential Electoral Tribunal or PET, is hearing the Marcos protest, which alleges fraudulent returns from voting precincts in Mindanao. Leonen submitted the draft last January 12, fulfilling his promise to speed up the case, which has hardly moved since it was raffled off to him. The Times source said Leonen personally handed the draft to his fellow magistrates during their en banc session as a precaution against the document being leaked. Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo has urged the Manila Electric Company or Meralco and other electric companies to show more compassion to small consumers and study the possibility of extending their no disconnection policy. He made the call after the company issued disconnection notices to its customers who have not yet completely settled their bills after having been allowed to defer payment last year because of the pandemic. Go asked Meralco not to further burden the poor who could not settle their bill because they had lost their jobs or livelihood. He also urged the government to prioritize the welfare of ordinary Filipinos by finding ways to avoid putting any additional burden on those who are already struggling to make ends meet. The senator has asked the private sector to help alleviate the woes of ordinary citizens as part of their contribution to the Bayanihan or communal spirit efforts in overcoming the crisis. Meralco's no disconnection policy was supposed to end on December 31, 2020, but it was extended until the end of January 2021. A senator has asked concerned agencies to track the process of students under the government's distance learning setup. Senator Sherwin Gatchalian made the call after the Department of Education reported that it could not explain the massive dropout rate among learners. He said on Sunday that an equally alarming scenario is having a high proportion of learners who are unprepared for their next schooling level. If this becomes the case, the entire school year would end up being a waste of time and resources, he added. The Department of the Interior and Local Government on Sunday reminded local government units to see to it that their orders to prevent the spread of the African swine fever or ASF jibe with that of the national government. In a statement, DILG Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya said the department had monitored the steps taken by the LGUs to limit the entry of pigs and hogs to their communities. He added that local officials must not impede the flow of cargoes across LGU boundaries. The LGU's actions should be coordinated with the Department of Agriculture's field offices to make them consistent with the ASF zoning classification system. Vice President Maria Leonor Robredo expressed admiration for Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong for his strong sense of accountability after he resigned as the country's contact tracing czar. Magalong, who came under fire after attending a celebrity's birthday party where anti-coronavirus restrictions were not followed, admitted in his resignation letter that he was involved in an incident where several lapses in protocol were committed. Robredo said in her weekly radio show on Sunday that lapses were obviously committed, but Magalong showed a strong sense of accountability, which should be an example to other public officials. Palace spokesman Harry Roque Jr. said the resignation has not been accepted, but Magalong said the resignation was irrevocable. Robredo cited Magalong for helping in contact tracing after a more infectious variant of COVID-19 was detected in Bontoc recently. She said Magalong's owning up to the lapses he committed was admirable. The Department of Labor and Employment on Sunday announced that mandatory occupational health and safety training in workplaces would be offered to workers and enterprises for free this year. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III bared that this is to enhance workplace health and safety and ease the burden on micro, small, and medium enterprises. He said that DOLE is waiving the training fees being charged to micro and small businesses and those companies in distress. Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo advised the family of Christine de Serra to stop insisting that there has been foul play in the latter's death. He urged the de Serra family to accept the findings of the Philippine National Police that the flight attendant died of natural causes. Panelo issued a statement after the family of de Serra disputed the PNP medico-legal report validating initial findings that Christine died of an aneurysm. The PNP also ruled out homicide and concluded that rape or drug overdose will not result in an aneurysm. The Serra's family believes that she was drugged and sexually abused before she died. Panelo appealed to the family to respect the doctors who led the autopsy and stop pursuing the cases against the men who were with the Serra at a New Year's Day party. Topping business, headline inflation likely remained elevated in January 2021 on the back of high prices of food, oil, and electric rates, analysts polled by the Manila Times said. Projections for the month ranged from 3.4 to 3.8%, with a 3.5% average, the same inflation figure in December but higher than the 2.9% a year earlier. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas earlier forecast inflation to accelerate to 3.7%. Official January 2021 inflation data is scheduled to be released by the Philippine Statistics Authority on February 5. In sports, Terra Firma Chief Governor Bobby Rosales explained that the rationale behind the controversial trade proposal involving CJ Perez is primarily because his team wants to get 2 first-round picks, its own first overall and the San Miguel Beermen's 8th, in the 2021 Philippine Basketball Association or PBA Rookie Draft slated on March 14. The trade proposal is still pending for approval by the PBA Trade Committee as of press time. Rosales said with losing their second-round pick in the previous trade, getting San Miguel's pick is a golden opportunity to get solid talent in the draft without having to wait for their next turn at number 25 in the third round. Acquiring players that San Miguel added in the trade, namely Jello Alonilo, Matt Ganuelas-Rosser, and Russell Escoto, made Jeep think that trading away Perez, a bona fide superstar and the PBA scoring champion for the last 2 seasons, was worth it. Rigoberto Tiglao and Father Ranilio Aquino are today's front page columnists. Tiglao returns after going on a break and continues discussing the links between the Communist Party of the Philippines and the University of the Philippines, while Father Aquino discusses the quincentennial or 500 years of Christianity in the Philippines. Today's editorial takes a jab at Health Secretary Francisco Duque III, saying data cannot speak for themselves, 1 year after the first case of COVID-19 was seen in the Philippines. Read the full version on the paper's opinion section or listen to the voice of the Times. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to its digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, and keep up with the Times. With the Fort Villa Serran, this is Arik John C. reporting. May you have a safe week ahead.